Hi, I'm Tiffany, and this is Towering TBR. I'm not a person who typically buys into retail therapy, but Book Outlet was having a sale and I was feeling sad, and so I decided to buy some books. The first is Mamo by Sass Millage. This is a beautiful graphic novel about a young witch who travels back home to attend the funeral of her dead grandma. And apparently her grandma's bones are not laid to rest. Her spirit is unsettled, and the granddaughter has to kind of tap into her skills to smooth things over. It looks amazing and was a really good price for a graphic novel, so I had to try it. Then I got some middle grade because I was thinking I might participate in middle grade March. I don't actually know if that's going to happen because I have a lot of books on my TBR, but if so, I've got some great choices. The first that I picked up was Bedknob and Broomstick. I'm not sure why it's singular instead of plural, by Mary Norton. Mary Norton is the author of the children's series The Borrowers, which was a favorite of mine for a long time. And I found out recently that she also wrote this. I think it was adapted back when I was a kid with like Angela Lansbury. It was great, but I don't actually really remember much of the story. So this is an option for me to tap into if I am feeling some nostalgia. I also got The Year I Flew Away by Marie Arnold. This is another middle grade, this time focusing on a girl moving from Haiti to New York City. And I think she makes a deal with a witch to be more American, but in doing so she loses some of the connections to her heritage and her family. And I think that this looks like a really good read. Another middle grade I picked up was When Life Gives You Mangoes by Corinne Gatton. And this is about a little girl who experiences amnesia after a hurricane hits her home. And she's trying to piece it back together. And I think there might also be a little bit of a romance, or maybe it's a friendship. I'm not quite sure, but it looked really good. I picked up Snapdragon by Kat Lay. This is a graphic novel that I've already read, but I really wanted to own a copy. This is about a little girl who befriends a woman who she thinks is a witch, and they strike up this friendship over trying to nurse some baby animals that they find in the woods. So yeah, this one's great, and I would recommend. I picked up The Rambling by Jimmy Kajolius, and this sounds really interesting. This is a middle grade fantasy adventure story about a boy whose father is taken by the magical mafia, and he goes on an adventure to free his dad. And I think he has to play a game or something to like earn the money to like buy its freedom. Not 100% sure, but it looks so good. I'm really in the mood for some fantasy and adventure stories. This is another one, another middle grade, Stowaway by John David Anderson. In this, Earth has a rare mineral that is apparently the rarest in the galaxy. And so other aliens come to Earth to try and fight over it and acquire the resource. And I think it's about some humans that are like, we just need to get away from Earth. Like, all these aliens are showing up and they're violent. And so they stow away, I think, on a spaceship to get away. But I think there's danger lurking around every corner. So that sounds like a lot of fun. And the last, I don't know if this is middle grade or YA. This actually came out back in 1996, I think. Yes. This is about a king who hires a thief. He basically takes him out of the jail, and they go on an adventure to procure like a secret treasure. Apparently he has to be a really skilled thief to pull this off. Moving on to adult books, this is The Diary of Maddie Spencer by Sandra Dallas. This reminds me of the old game Oregon Trail. back on the computers way back when. This woman basically has to marry a man that she doesn't really know, and they go on in a covered wagon and they go out to Colorado. And it's a story of survival, not only of the elements, but also maybe of her husband. He seems like he might be violent. This looks really good. Anyone else out there who loved to play Oregon Trail back in the day? Maybe you don't want to reveal yourself, because, yeah. I saw Allie over at Allison Pages recommend this book, If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Naga. This is about a very dysfunctional couple. I think I'm going to read it and see how I feel about it myself. I picked up Crossroads by Jonathan Franzen. There's kind of a funny story behind this. My very first negative comment on one of my videos was on my Demon Copperhead review. The person did not like the book and instead recommended that I read Crossroads by Jonathan Franzen. I tried to look up what this is, but I think it's a very character-driven story, and so there might not be quite a lot of plot. You know, I'm open-minded. I will give it a try, and it also helped it was on sale. I picked up When I Sing Mountains Dance by Irene Sola. This is a very intriguing title. Apparently our character is struck by lightning and dies, like right off the bat. And it's about his ghost and it's magical realism, and I'm not sure what else to expect from it, but it looks really beautiful. I bought How Beautiful We Were by Mbolo Mbue, and this looks great. This is set in a fictional African town that is dealing with the climate effect changes of an oil spill. An American oil company didn't care about polluting the local area, and these people decide that they're going to fight back because their kids are getting sick. They're not being able to grow their crops. It's causing all sorts of problems. So this is also known as a climate change book. I decided to pick up some poetry, and this is quite different for me, but this won so many awards, it immediately was on my radar. This is a very long poetry collection of the chemical warfare that the Americans perpetrated on the Hmong people after the Vietnam War, and this is focusing on that event. It seems like it could be very powerful, but I'm excited to read it, and it's a bit different because there is like documents in here. Yeah, copies of documents and different like multimedia stuff. But I'm very excited about it, and I've been wanting to read more poetry. I don't really read very much poetry, so I hope this is a good one. If the awards indicate anything, hopefully it is. Lastly, I picked up 3 nonfictions. I really need to stop buying nonfiction because, as you can see from these shelves here, there are 4 shelves full of nonfiction that I haven't read yet. But these 3 intrigued me enough that I had to pick them up. So the first is Eating to Extinction: The World's Rarest Foods and Why We Need to Save Them by Dan Saladino. And I'm not 100% sure this is a book I would read cover to cover, but rather maybe dip in and out of. It focuses on how food production and the consolidation of corporations and companies have reduced the diversity in our food and things, and so this explores foods that are kind of going extinct. I'm really eager to see what foods they talk about, because if they're going extinct, then maybe I've never even heard of them. I heard Mara over at Books Like Whoa absolutely rave about Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford. This is her memoir of growing up Black with a single mother while her father was incarcerated. Mara was blown away by it, and I love reading memoirs, so I decided I would pick this one up as well. And the last book that I got from Book Outlet is White Hot Hate by Dick Lair. This focuses on the true life account of an FBI informant infiltrating this hate group in Kansas. This group was making terrorist plans to hurt people in their community, and the FBI agent basically goes undercover to get enough evidence to arrest these guys before anything happens. And this was in 2016 when Donald Trump had won. You know, racists were emboldened and started to hurt people. And I think that this will be an incredibly infuriating read, but really important. Those are all the books I bought from Book Outlet. Tell me, do you self-medicate with books? Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.